Welcome back to Reddit Tales. In today's story, we follow a man who gave up his own dreams to support his girlfriend into an elite grad program, only for her to call him a weight on her future and cut him loose. As you listen, think about whether you would have taken her back once her dream collapsed and his finally took off. I remember the last night we were a couple. It was a Tuesday. Sarah was hunched over her laptop on the couch, the screen glow making her face look washed out and distant. I was in the kitchen, humming to myself while I packed away leftovers from the slow-simmered beef stew I had made. It was one of her favorites. For 3 years, that was our rhythm. I worked my steady 9 to 5 as a junior data analyst. She was the brilliant, single-minded rocket ship. She had one goal: get into one of the most exclusive graduate programs in the country. My goal was simple: be her launch pad. I covered her half of the rent. I did the groceries. I handled the boring parts of life so she could focus on hers. While she was buried in textbooks, I was building her bookshelves. While she wrote essays, I was researching the best coffee beans to keep her awake. My own ambition sat in a notebook on a shelf. I had a quiet dream of launching a niche tech startup. Every time I saw an article about some bootstrapped founder making it big, a spark lit inside me. Then I'd look over at Sarah studying, think about tuition, and blow that spark out. There was always something more important for Sarah. Her acceptance letter came 2 weeks earlier. A thick envelope from a top-tier university full of glossy photos of ivy-covered buildings and smiling students. We screamed. We hugged. We drank the bottle of champagne I had been saving. I felt like I had won too. I believed that once she was in, we would figure out the logistics together. Long distance. Maybe I'd transfer jobs, maybe I'd move later. I did not care about the details as long as we stayed a team. "The stew is in the fridge," I said that night, leaning over the back of the couch to kiss the top of her head. "Don't work too late." She didn't look up. She said, her voice flat. "We need to talk about my future, our future as you see it." A cold knot formed in my stomach. The humming in my chest stopped. In that moment, I knew I was no longer part of the us she was imagining. I sat down beside her, my hands still smelling like beef stew, and waited. She closed her laptop and folded her hands in her lap like a manager about to fire someone. "You've been amazing, she began, like she was reading from a prepared script. "Truly. I couldn't have done any of this without you. You know that, right?" "I'd like to think so," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. I braced myself to hear about some other guy, someone more exciting, more ambitious. But that was not the direction she went. "This is the biggest opportunity of my life," she continued, staring past me like she could already see a future where I didn't exist. "And I can't be held back by someone who is content with just being stable, with a 9-to-5 job and a quiet life." "I wasn't holding you back, Sarah," I said. "I was supporting you. I'm the one paying for everything so you can focus on this." She winced, annoyed for a second before smoothing it over. "That's exactly it," she said. "That's the problem. It's too comfortable. I need to be challenged. I need to be in a life where I am constantly fighting to keep up, not one where everything is handed to me." "Are you calling me a handout?" I asked quietly. "No," she said. "I'm just saying you're a weight on my future, It's not fair to either of us. I need to be completely independent to prove I can do this on my own. I can't take you with me. Not now. Maybe not ever. Dragging you into this uncertainty would be cruel." This is one of those speeches that sounds noble on the surface, but is really just a way to dodge responsibility. She was rewriting her selfishness as sacrifice. I stood up slowly. The stew I had made felt like a joke now. I walked to the bedroom and pulled a small suitcase from the closet. She watched me. "So what you're saying is this, is it?" I asked. "Yes," she said. "I'm sorry, but this is what I need. A clean break. No more emotional ties. I need to be free." I nodded once. No yelling. No begging. I packed a duffel bag with a few essentials, picked up my keys, and walked to the door. "I hope you find what you're looking for, Sarah," I said. That was the last thing I ever said to her in that apartment. The door clicked shut, and for the first time in years, the silence I heard was mine. The next days were a blur. I found a tiny one-bedroom on the other side of the city. It had no sunlight, no kitchen island, no shared furniture, just four walls, a mattress, a couple of boxes, and a silence that felt heavier than anything I could lift. The first week, I just existed. I went to my data analyst job, did my tasks, came home, and stared at the walls. Friends reached out. I gave short, vague replies. I was too ashamed to tell the full story. Sarah had not cheated in the usual way. Her betrayal was deeper. She had looked at me and decided I was an obstacle, not a partner. A step she had to step over to reach where she wanted. That hurts in a different place than simple heartbreak. It hits your sense of worth. One night, I sat on the floor eating cold pizza from the box. My eyes drifted to a notebook sticking out of one of the moving boxes. I pulled it out. It was full of old sketches, diagrams, and notes from years before. My startup idea. The one she called a cute little hobby. The foolish fantasy she said I should grow out of. The same stability she used to praise me for had turned into an excuse to keep me small. She needed me to be her reality while she chased her fantasy. Now that her fantasy was real, she had no use for me at all. The bitterness burned, but something else came with it. I grabbed a pen. In the quiet of my tiny apartment, I opened my laptop and started typing. It began as a simple prototype, just a few lines of code after work. Then an hour. Then two. Soon I was staying up late, building, tweaking, testing. My apartment turned into a small lab. My evenings were no longer about distracting myself from pain. They were about creating something that belonged only to me. I was not doing it to show her up. At least, that is what I told myself. But every time her phrase, little tech thing, passed through my mind, it pushed me to write one more function. This is a powerful shift many people never make. Instead of trying to win someone back, he started trying to win his own life back. I stopped checking her social media. I told mutual friends I needed space and asked them not to bring her up. I needed to cut the last invisible threads tying my mood to hers. Months went by. My little project grew. I built a working model, then a small user base. Some people started paying for it. Not much at first. Just enough to prove it wasn't a joke. I still had my day job, but now my nights felt like they belonged to a different person, someone who was in control. I got a small promotion at work and moved into a slightly bigger apartment. I took better care of myself. I slept more, ate better. The same quiet life Sarah called boring was slowly becoming something solid and meaningful. Then I got an email from an old university friend. He had joined the same grad program as Sarah but had dropped out. His message was casual, catching up, asking how I was. At the end he wrote, "Man, grad school is brutal. Total pressure cooker. Sarah is really struggling. She has completely isolated herself. She's a ghost. Not the same person I met in the fall. She already talks about dropping out because of the debt." I read that twice. The freedom she chose, the independence she gave me up for, had turned into a prison of stress, isolation, and bills. She had succeeded in becoming what she thought she wanted to be completely on her own, and it was breaking her. I waited to feel something, revenge, pity, anger. Nothing came. It just felt distant. Her life was no longer connected to mine. She made her choice. This was her result. The first direct contact came a little over a year after the breakup. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Hey, how have you been? Just saw something that reminded me of you." I read it. It had that old tone, casual and slightly entitled, like my attention was guaranteed. I blocked the number. A week later, a mutual friend called. "Dude, I don't know what's going on," he said. "Sarah keeps blowing up my phone. She wants your new number. Says she made a huge mistake and wants to talk to you. She sounds really off." "Did you give it to her?" I asked. "No," he said. "I told her I don't have it and that you're living your own life now, but she keeps asking. It's getting weird." "Tell her to stop," I said, "and if she doesn't, tell her you won't answer anymore." He agreed. This is where a lot of people cave. They think being kind means reopening doors that were closed for a reason. Soon, she found a new route. My junk email folder. The first emails were simple, just her name in the subject line. I ignored them. Then one came with the subject line, "I made a huge mistake." It started. "I know you probably hate me. I wouldn't blame you. But I'm really hurting. Grad school was a disaster. I dropped out. I couldn't handle the pressure and now I'm drowning in debt. I miss our life. I miss you. I made a huge mistake. Please, can we talk about a second chance? I read the email. It was impressive how she managed to turn her decisions into my responsibility in a few paragraphs. She made her choices. Now she wanted my help carrying them. I deleted the email and marked the address as spam. The last attempt was the most detailed. Another new number. A long text. She described everything: the loans, the failed program, the family disappointment, the friends who blocked her. She ended with, "I can't believe I gave up the best thing in my life for nothing. Can we please just talk? I'll do anything. I'll even help you with your little tech thing." That phrase again, little tech thing, it made me smile, but not in a warm way, more in a you still don't get it way. I did not reply. Instead, I opened my laptop and got back to work on the site for my company. In the last 6 months, it had made more money than my regular salary. It was no longer a side project. It was my future. The final encounter came by accident. I was at a downtown coffee shop with my lawyer, signing the final incorporation papers for the business. We had a corner booth. The place smelled like roasted coffee and fresh pastries. My laptop was open. The forms were in front of me. I had a pen in my hand when the door opened and the bell rang. I glanced up. Sarah walked in. She looked like a faded version of the woman I used to know. The confidence in her posture was gone. She was hunched slightly, shoulders tight. Her hair was pulled back without care. Her coat was worn and thin. She walked to the counter, eyes darting around like she was looking for an exit or a lifeline. Then she saw me. She froze. The color drained from her face. She looked at me, then at my lawyer, then at the open laptop and the papers on the table. I was in a tailored coat, clean-shaven, pen in hand, ready to sign my name into a new chapter. She hesitated, then walked over. "Em," she said softly, "I can't believe it's you. You look so different." She glanced at the paperwork again. "I was just here to meet with a loan officer about my student debt," she said. The irony hung in the air. We were both there to talk about money. I was about to sign for a business. She was there to ask for relief. "Sarah," I said, "this is my lawyer. We're just finishing some paperwork." Her voice shook. "I know you probably don't want to talk to me," she said, "but I have to say this. I'm so sorry. I was a fool. I gave up the best thing in my life for nothing. I want to come back. I'll help you with your little tech thing. I'll do anything. Please, can you forgive me?" I leaned back in my chair and looked at her. I tried to scan my feelings. No anger, no rush of payback. Just a steady, quiet peace. "It's funny you say that," I replied, "because you were right, in a way. You said I was a weight on your future. What you didn't understand is that you were a weight on mine." Her face crumpled. I raised a hand slightly. "Letting you go was the best thing I ever did," I said. "It forced me to be who I am meant to be. It forced me to take my little tech thing seriously. Now it's a company. I'm building a life I could not have built with you because you would have always seen it as something small." She started to cry. "Please, Em," she said. "I've been so alone, please." "Sarah," I said, calm and final, "you needed to be free and you said I was holding you back. It turns out you were right. I needed to be free too, and now I am. I wish you well, but my focus is on my future. It does not include the past." I turned back to my lawyer, picked up the pen, and signed my name on the dotted line. When I looked up again, she was gone. The space where she had stood was empty. Her story had finally exited my life. I looked down at the documents for my new company and smiled. The weight was gone, and it had never been me. Lesson 1. If someone calls your stability a weight while you are carrying them, they are telling you who they really are. Believe them the first time. Lesson 2. Your dreams are not a hobby just because someone else does not understand them. If they can't respect your vision, they don't deserve the results. Lesson 3. Cutting ties is not cruelty when those ties are choking you. Protecting your peace is a responsibility, not a luxury. Lesson 4. When a person only comes back after their own choices fall apart, they are asking for rescue, not offering a real partnership. Lesson 5. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for both people is to leave the past in the past and not reopen a door that was closed for good reasons. What about you? At what point in this story would you have walked away? when she called him a wait, when she first emailed, or at the coffee shop? And have you ever had someone try to come back only after their dream life collapsed? How did you handle it?